After the smashing success that was my first game, I had a challenge for myself in this next one. I wanted to make a game for mobile. While it was easy to play a web game, most of my friends are mobile gamers, and I wanted to make a game that they could play. I had to tap into that market. But once again, I don't have that much time, so let's say I only have a week to do this. Shouldn't be hard. For this game, I decided to make a match 3 game, but with dice. The idea just floated into my mind, and I felt it would be a fun game for casual players. The simple idea was this: generate a grid of dice, players could then swap dice that were next to each other to create synergies for points. A synergy had to be 3 or more dice in a row that were either the same value or increasing values. Increasing values would be worth more points, and longer patterns would be worth more points. After each move, all synergies on the board would be removed, and as the dice would fall to fill the empty spaces, new ones would fall from divine character instantiation to refill the board. I felt, though, that there was something missing. It seemed almost natural that the dice should have different colors. What if that was a mechanic? There would be 3 colors, red, green, and blue. Making a full row of each would grant a special elemental power for 5 seconds, allowing you to mess things up on the board. Red would be a fire power that lets you burn dice, green is like a plant growth thing, it lets you add 1 to the dice values, and blue is like a waterfall, if you squint really hard. First, I had to let you swap the dice. I split this up into a couple of parts. First, go to move function that allows the dice to move from one point to another regularly in 1 second. Next, track where the player taps and drag to find the root die and the target direction. With the direction, find the position of the first die in that direction and make that our end position. Now, move the first die to the end position and the second die to the first die's position. Yay, they're swapped and it works perfectly. I had genuinely no clue how this is happening. With some more coding out of the way, it now works perfectly. This part is really simple. We have to tally all of the synergies and remove those dice. The more difficult part is finding the synergies. We'll just go through each row and column to check for synergies within them, and if there are, we'll update a mirror array which has only 1s and 0s. This array holds 0s where the dice are to be deleted, and 1s for the dice that are to be kept. If dice are in synergy, update the positions on the second array to be 0s. Finally, I go through the second array and delete all the dice that are at 0. Okay, this part should be the simplest. I go through all the dice, bottom to top, and if the die below it is 0 on that mirror array, then move this current die down with the move function we coded earlier. However, there is a finicky part. I don't just have the dice, but I have a 5x5 grid of nodes that act as anchors for the dice. These nodes have the position of each spot of the grid, and the dice are children of them. So for each die I move, I have to reparent it to its new position node. And, as we can see, it works perfectly. I mean, it works perfectly. How is this crashing so much? It's not that hard to code, but now it actually works perfectly. Finally, we need the point system. This part is actually the simplest. Just kidding, it didn't. The points are as follows. For any synergy, you win points for the value of each die you destroy. If it's an increasing pattern, you get 3 times the points because they're cool, harder to arrange. Finally, you get bonus points for 4 and 5 die patterns. These points are all tallied and added to your total for each move. Of course, we can't forget about the powers. For each power, I needed to make a 5-second timer and this effect in the background, which is literally just a rectangle getting smaller. Don't tell anyone. Next, we need to recognize a click and hold, which needs its own timer. Every half second, the power is triggered and the effect is executed.
Do it!
A skilled player could use them to set up nice synergies. You could enjoy the cool effect. Next, we need art. This is a clean looking piece for each die in each color, the menu buttons, and the background. For the background, I chose this mountain looking background and I made this funny little effect where a cloud floats by every now and then. I also decided to make a particle system for the elemental powers to give some feedback to the player of what's going on. I also created a high score system with a fun badge that shows up if you beat your old score, and a medal system, complete with the medal cabinet so you can show off to your friends when you earn new golds or silvers. When I was testing, I was able to get up to silver, so good luck getting those golds. Last thing to add was an endgame menu and a home screen. I made 2 modes, timed, where you get a minute to get as many points as you can, and moves, where you only get 10 moves, so be calculating. They have unique high score systems and are completely unique to this game. Finally, we need sound effects and music. I found some cool woodblock and popping effects that I used for the menus and game pieces, and I made some jingles on my own for when the game ends, powers, and other things throughout. Hopefully they sound good. For music, I created, count them, 2 whole pieces to play randomly in the background. I think I accidentally made a spooky and a happy piece. You can turn off sound and music with the buttons I added here. I think that's enough, so it's time to release. It's a great sign when the release guide is this long. First, I had to download the Android Studio SDK and OpenJDK to work for Android. Then we export them with some fancy settings, and on the third try, it works! It exports as an APK that you can play with an emulator or can download on an Android phone. That took a while. Let's look at exporting to iOS. Okay, let's see. You must export for iOS from a computer running macOS. Well, that's it for that plan. And that's it there. The game is playable on the web, on itch, and is playable on Android and Android emulators through the APK in the description. I think a next project could be some sort of 2D online multiplayer, so that's for later. Bye!